Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new show this week. All kind of crazy stuff going on in the market. And the market was on fire again. It's still on fire, but it's cooling off after interest rates have risen almost another half point. So last week's show, we talked about there's over $200 million sold in a 7-day period, or at least $200 million under contract in a 7-day period, which is awesome. That was back since like 2022 summer numbers. And this week, we're very, very close, right at $195 million. So basically $5 million less sold across our entire marketplace, which is huge. So we'll talk about that, what's going on. We have the newest overall numbers to kind of just look at and see what's happening here in the overall macro market. Next week, we'll have the micro market. But we actually saw the prices decline last month, and we'll talk about why. We predicted that previously. You really had 3 straight months of significant declines, about 50% that we saw year versus year. And so we always know price is going to soften when that happens. The good news is it wasn't too much overall. We had some huge news this last week in interest rates, though. We had a 4-month low, and then it jumped back up to a 1-month high. And so it was kind of some sticker shock for some people, a quick whiplash, so to speak, for a lot of people. And so we had a lot of buyers jump back in. We had rates back into the 5s, and it was great news. Now we're back up to the mid 6s. So we'll talk about what's happening and really what to look for in terms of interest rates, because that's driving everything right now. For some, it puts them out of the affordability range. For others, is right where it needs to be. And I found that sweet spot is anything about 6% or less is when people start jumping back in the market. Hence why you saw a lot of that pent-up demand jump back in really the last few weeks, or really mid-January through now. So we'll talk about what that means. We'll talk about the typical, quote, spring market is here early this year and being driven by interest rates. And so anybody that's thinking about waiting, it's a great opportunity because inventory is still very low, and it's very, very much needed. And so even though there's less buyers, there's less inventory. And so there's still a great opportunity for you to get in early, because we're not sure what's going to happen with interest rates going forward into the spring market. We have some amazing, amazing success stories. If we have time, we'll share a quick audio and video that we have from people that we just bought their house last week. We talked about our team's been absolutely crushing it. And one person that, came into a financial hardship, past client of ours, instead of just putting their head in their sand, thankfully they reached out to us for advice. We got them $100,000 more they even thought possible for the property, and got it within a couple of weeks. And it was something that was so rewarding to us. We'll talk about what that means. Also, we have amazing real estate scholarship we're still offering. Our team is still in massive growth mode. Had another record year last year. Our team is really outselling his agents on a very, very high level. We'll talk about that. The average agent in our team averaged 20 plus homes last year sold, and the average in our MLS is about 3.5. And so significant difference in terms of how it operates. And so anyone out there thinking about a career in real estate that wants to serve at a high level, if you've been listening for a while, or even other agents out there maybe listening to this show, we have lots of opportunities right now with buyers from all over the globe, and we'll share that here hopefully at the end of the show.
All right, lots of stuff to get to. If you just tuned in for the very first time and you're not sure who you're listening to or what you're listening to, it's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show, hosted by, of course, Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan has been called the Real Estate Whiz Kid. He's been featured in Forbes Magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor Magazine, and other national publications. You may have seen him on TV with NBC and also with Fox and the Morning Show. You heard the personal endorsements here backed by Sean Hannity, also Barbara Corcoran, Gary LeBlanc. Put them all together, it's just totally unprecedented. Now, that's one thing. But the other thing is that Blake has trademark systems for both home sellers and home buyers. They are trademarked, so we can't give you all the details, but more than happy every week to tell you the most important part of that system.
Yes, and that's the whole DNA behind this show. And I made a promise a long time ago that I would talk about this every week, because no matter how much I talk about it, I still see the same mistakes, even from listeners of this show who make this major mistake. We're seeing this a lot right now, too. Every horror story I really come across has to do with 2 things. Number one, they think they're all real estate agents are the same. It could not be any further than true, just like any waiter, right? A waitress, we all have great waitresses, bad waitresses. Anything in the service industry is just like that, because it's based on humans. Now, you complex that with a lot of complexity in terms of real estate, because here's the problem. There's 118 different variables from A to Z in getting a property sold. Think about this. A lot of people can't even get your order correct for your hamburger, but you're expecting anybody in the world to help sell your property without vetting them, without understanding what a true expert they are. It's very, very similar, right? If you're charged with a crime you didn't commit, the last thing you want is some part-time attorney who your friend recommended, or here's even who you really don't want is the cheapest attorney, right? You want the best attorney who specializes in that type of law that can help you navigate that situation to get to the best outcome. And you should demand that same level of excellence for your largest asset. Specifically for most people, real estate is usually one of the largest assets that people have. And so a lot of times right now we're seeing this happen where there's so many desperate agents. You see 50% less sales in last 3 months in a row, between 40 and 50% less sales. Agents are desperate, and what's happening, you have agents who don't sell very much or broke and trying to pay their rent and their mortgage, whatever it is, offering very, very low interest rates and very low commission rates, and people are trying to use that to make decisions. But here's the problem: they don't have any money to invest on your behalf for marketing. And so there's so many nuances that make or break the home sale. And so I talk about this every week. The single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes down to one thing and one thing only. And that thing is the agent that you choose, period. It's how they execute from A to Z in 118 variables. And here's the even crazier part. It's the old school model. We call it the 8-track tape, right? It's an old school cassette tape, how 95% of agents still operate in North America because they still operate the same old school way. I know it. I grew up in it. My mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, entire family sold real estate. I studied it. And I started that way when I got into business. But I realized there had to be a better way, because what happens in most cases is you have one single agent trying to manage all those variables. And those could be anything from the price strategy, the quality of photos, the order of the photos. Does the agent answer the telephone when a buyer calls that for sale sign? Does the agent even have a for sale sign? I've seen a lot of those broke agents don't even have a for sale sign. They don't put one up in front of your house, so buyers don't even know your property is for sale. The other thing too is, do they actually respond to web leads online? Now everyone's on their phones and they submit online. Do they have someone that responds within minutes to those web leads? Most of them don't. Why is that? Because they're so busy trying to get the next listing that they're not able to service the one they have. And so it comes down to this process where you have the same person, McDonald's, doing the front register, the drive-through, and the french fries at the same time. And that's why the service and the food tastes very bad in terms of your experience getting your property sold. But the deal is, you went with the cheapest or the one that you didn't vet. And so that's what that result is. And so I said, look, there's got to be a better way. It's impossible for one single person to handle all these variables, literally on just one listing. But what you have is agents who take dozens of listings trying to survive because half of them don't sell. And so they're betting on half of them selling, getting their money and moving on, and able to live off that, which is why you see most agents in our average marketplace. Our average agent sells about 4 homes a year, 3.5. And so the reality is, you want to have someone who has a system that's proven repeatable, and said, hey, how can we make this where it's proven repeatable for our clients and create maximum leverage for our client at every single point? And so we set out and reverse engineered every single point, had mentors who hired and said, look, how do we map out exactly what has to happen in the right order and stack the dominoes so we can get predictable results for our clients at the end of the day? And we sought out one single thing. The thing we sought out was, how do we give our client a competitive advantage in the marketplace when they're selling a property? And so I developed this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system to sell almost twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. But what we do is first we mapped out the process of, hey, what has to happen in the right order, in the right time. And we backed that up by two things. Number one is people. We have a team of people, 35 people on our team. And the second thing is technology. And so we really invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in technology so that we even own our own technology that we built out. And we're able to manage those variables practically with tasks. And we know who did what, and so and so can't say they didn't do it because the task is assigned to them. So now those things don't slip through the cracks that single agent you have is trying to get to. They just don't have enough time to do. And so we have inside sales, outside sales. We have an administrative team who executes on every single aspect so that every detail is managed from the very beginning to the very end. Because here's the deal. We live by this saying called details matter. And if your agent's too busy to actually get back to you, guess what? They're too busy to probably make sure that contract's done correctly and make sure they follow up with all the deadlines. And so we see this happen all the time in terms of what's happening. But most of it is the agent tends to just do one thing. They throw their client under the bus because they're just trying to get this deal to pay their rent or the mortgage the next month. Why is that? Because the average agent sells roughly 3 to 4 homes a year. And so with us, the top 1% teams in North America came in number 58 last year in the United States. And it's one of the things that we're able to do here with people and technology to give you that ultimate competitive advantage. So if you want to know more how that works, reach out to us. The system is unmatched in terms of marketing. We have global reach for buyers, because here's the deal. That system of technology and people is so much more efficient. I can outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. And so we're able to capture more buyers. And here's the thing. When you hire me, you're not just hiring me today. You're hiring me for the 12 to 24 months prior. I've been spending tens of thousands of dollars every month getting buyers in from across the globe. And now guess what? You're buying access and getting access to my pool of buyers that we've been searching out and seeking out and helping serve for really months and months before you ever called. And so if you want that maximum exposure, we have technology that can match up those buyers to your property and reverse engineer the most likely buyer for your property based on their previous search patterns. And so that's the level of technology we have. If you want to know more about that, reach out to us. On the flip side, guess what? there's 100 plus variables for buyers out there. And it really comes down to, how does the agent navigate those? Are they good at what they do? Are they in a place where they're not going to throw their client under the bus? And with our team, a team of experts who has really a 5 to 10x amount of sales than the average agent or MLS, we're able to make sure that we advise our clients from a place of truth and not from a place of need. And so the Unfair Advantage program gets priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as the overall negotiation for home inspection to get you to that closing table successfully. And so if you want A-list service and the absolute best to help make sure create maximum leverage for you in your home purchase or home sale, reach out to us, call us. You owe it to yourself to at least investigate it, take a look at it so you can see the difference. So we're able to use that to put much more money in your pocket on the back end. So reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com anytime.
So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home right now, every detail means dollars, and who you hire to negotiate your home, that really matters. Hey, Sean Hannity here, and as an active investor who invests in real estate all across the great country of ours, I want the best negotiator representing my interests. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. They can help you navigate through multiple cash offers, and more importantly, he has turned complicated situations into 5-star reviews. Now check out his rave reviews on Google. Talk to him yourself. If you are on trial with big money at stake, you would want a seasoned negotiator with thousands of victories. If they will take you on and you can afford the price, well, your home deserves the best representation. Know your options, see how much demand your home can command in this market right now, and get the best representation that you deserve. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at BlakeSloan.com. That's BlakeSloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Gordon. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I know. He offers several options to themselves, really takes away the stress. That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time, work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Market alert, all kind of crazy data going on right now. We'll talk about 2 types of data. We talk about this every week, but it's really just so fascinating to watch and understand. I want this really one goal for you all is to keep you informed of the real estate market so you can make better decisions with your assets. And that's really our goal is, right? We've been doing this for a long time and serving for, I think, 13, 14 years in this show. And really just, hey, our goal here is to share the information with you. Hopefully you can get some good data, talk about it with friends if you need to, but really just make good decisions in terms of, hey, what am I doing in my real estate? Help you keep a pulse of what's happening. If you ever want to go back and watch any of our shows, we stream them always to YouTube, also stream them on Facebook, on both Sloan Realty Group, on my personal page, if you want to follow me under Blake Sloan. And we also have those on a podcast. You can search me on any of your podcast platforms to see those as well. So check it out. Interesting news. We saw a big jump last week, huge jump. That was like huge news that we saw. If you, for example, last week's show, there were 607 properties that went under contract in our MLS, a 26% increase from the 2 weeks prior. Remember, I was out of town the 2 weeks prior or 1 week prior. And so basically over a 2-week jump, you saw a 26% jump with 607 properties under contract, 211,427,000 under contract in 1 week, which was a 20.19% increase, which is huge. I set that stage up so you can figure out, hey, look, what happened week over week? Last week's show, 607. This week's show, 578 under contract. So it dropped about 5%. We saw a 5% decline week over week, which is aligned with what's happening with interest rates. We'll talk about that. Rates have jumped back up. Remember last week's show, they were back below 6% in the 5s. Now they're back to about the mid 6s, and you're seeing some buyers pull off who were obviously on the fence. Some jumped in, some are still hesitating. Active listings is up, which is great. Overall, 852 active listings right now, which is good. And volume, 195 million, which is 7.4% decrease. So week over week saw a 7.4% decrease in terms of volume. So it's very, very interesting. And that just comes down to as rates go up, less people buy. Rates go down, more people buy. It's just one of those things we'll keep watching. Overall, it's still great news. If you go back to early January 6th, there's only 364 properties that were under contract for 125 million. So right now, we're at 578 for 195 million. So significant difference there, about 70 million more sold, which versus the first couple weeks of January, which is awesome. You go back to really the last week of 2022, which was terrible, 206 properties for only 163 million. So as rates have come back down from the sevens, we're seeing a lot more buyers move right now. And what this does is allows me to forecast what's going to happen 30 to 60 days going on in the future. And so there's two types of data. That's the data we look into the overall windshield data, right? The other data we look at is our rear view mirror data, which is like what closed last month. We'll talk about that really quick. And that's just something you want to use for comps and comp analysis of like, hey, look, what sold my neighborhood? And we use that. But I want to also use this data I just talked about as my pulse data. It allows me to keep the pulse on, hey, what's happening real time with buyers? And that's what I use for my clients and our clients to help push the envelope, so to speak, so we can push a little bit higher sometimes based on the real time pulse. And so let's say last month's data, for example, showed that sales were down, prices were down. But right now I'm seeing the last couple of weeks, we were jumped back up over 200 million. We've been pushing a little bit harder for our clients, which is how we put more money in our clients' pocket by knowing those details inside and out. And so that's why it's important to know these things. And obviously you want to know more, reach out to me anytime. I can be more than happy to share it with you. We also have an email newsletter. I send a video out to our clients at least once a month, which is super powerful. But check this out, MLS numbers. Looking at last month, a 32.4% decrease from the same month last year. And so that covers January 2022 versus January 2023. We're seeing a significant decline. It's really been declining every single month since March of 2022, with 703 properties that closed for single family resale homes. I use that as the main guide there because that's just what really the most of the market is, the middle of the market. That's what most people listen to the show have is resale homes. We obviously sell everything commercial, land, condos, condo tails, all that stuff. But those are kind of really nuances and fringes that you want to make sure I can always keep a major overall pulse based on what's happening on single family. But here's the crazy part: 703 March 2022, 324 last month. So significant decline. You're over 50% from the peak. And if you look at the last few months, it's just declined. So going back to August 592, September 532, October 497. November 380, December 336, and then January 324. So significant declines there. And I will say it was very rough in terms of November, December properties going under contract. So I foresee we'll see that bounce back, which is great news as we see the new month's numbers come in here very, very soon. Looking at prices down month versus month, which is interesting to see. It's one of the first time we've seen it decline. So December, the overall price or median price is $368,500. Right now, the good news, it's holding steady. It's $350,000. So it's up from September. September, we had a low of $345,500. It bumped back up November, December, and back down right now at $350,000. And that's just because you saw less home sales in November, December. They was very, very, very slow. It really started declining from the peak, though, in May at $380,000. Overall, if you look at average sale price, pretty much the same there. It's been bouncing around. Right now, average sale price is $448,890, which is up 10% from the same month last year. Supply, that's been really the main question. Supply is up 140% year over year. So significant increase, but it's still what we call a super seller's market. There's still only 2.4 months of inventory. And what that is an equation that everyone uses in the business to really say, hey, look, it's really kind of the run rate. If there wasn't a new listing that put on the market, how long would it take at the current sales rate for all of listings to be sold out? And right now it's at 2.4 months, which is 140% increase from the same month last year. So for example, in January, it was at 0.9 months of 2022. Right now it's at 2.4 months. And the crazy part is it's down from November. So in November, it's 2.6 months, and December, January, 2.4 months. And so it's holding tight there, which is also what's helping protect price. And so that's why you're seeing a 40 to 50% decline in sales the last 2 months, but prices are really kind of holding the same and really only dropping between $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 based on the month there. So great news overall. Showings per listing. Overall is down 34.7% from the same time last year. And so the overall less buyers in the market, right? It is very, very interesting time right now. But I'd say if you're thinking about selling, it's a great time because we haven't really seen any decline in prices long term. They've been bouncing around a little bit, but very, very tight inventory is helping hold that, which is helping hold values here for people in the Grand Strand, which is awesome news. Condos and condo tills in general, sales down 44.9%. It's pretty much been off a cliff since March of last year as well. So March last year, 804 condos sold. This last month, only 316 condos sold. So significant decline there overall. Prices up 16.6% year over year, which is good. Average sale price right now, $266,000. And median price up 17.9%. And it's been holding tight really the past 3 or 4 months between $235 and right now $229. Last month in December, it's $225. And so That's another thing there. Inventory has just really been holding tight prices wise, which is great. It is up 228%, but if you look at the overall numbers, it's only 2.3 months. And just to give you some context for anybody that's a new listener, anything 6 months or below is a seller's market, meaning that the seller has the advantage. So it's not even close to a really middle range market, which is 6 months inventory. And if you go back to last time that we had that type of inventory, you go back to, let's say, February 2021 was 2.8 months, and between there, March 2021 was 2.0 months. So between February and March 2021 is the last time the inventory was this low. If you go back to April 2020, it was 5.9 months inventory. And so what happened was all the houses started selling out during COVID, and all of a sudden everyone moved from houses to condos because there just wasn't any inventory. And so both condos and homes holding very, very well right now in price. The one magic thing we're going to watch right now and kind of see what happens is interest rates, right? We talked about that last week's show. Overall 6.19%. And we also got down to the sixes for most of those week before. Right now, a 30-year fix, 6.45%. So it's up almost 6.5. 15-year fix right now, 5.50%. A 30-year jumbo loan, 6.0%, which is good news there. 5-year adjust rate mortgage is up significantly at 6.65%. 30-year FHA, 5.82%, and a 30-year VA loan, 5.88%. And so some of those still in the fives, which is good. Hoping we see some lightening of rates going next week, but we did see a 4-month low and then back to 1-month high. And so it's kind of whiplash here. We'll see what happens going forward. If I'm a home seller, I want to time this year a little bit earlier. Don't worry about waiting till spring. The spring market is here, not just here, but across the country. I'm here at mastermind groups overall. So if you're thinking about selling, get the strategy in place a little bit earlier, and you can price a little bit higher so you can get a little more money when there's less inventory in the market right now. So if you want to know where that works, reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com anytime. Be right back in a sec with a hot buyer alert.
WRNN listeners, Clay Travis.
How are you looking on time, Dave?
Real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools in marketing to get the highest sales price
About 5.5
possible.
minutes.
Yeah, I'm not going to have time for that then. Sorry to play that. All right.
Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. If you need to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee. Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know when your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with 2 mortgages. There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 5-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group. And tune in to Blake's shows Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Hot Buyers Alert. My team now working ridiculous amount of home buyers here in the Myrtle Beach Grand Strand area, from $250,000 to $4.35 million. If you're thinking about selling, please contact us immediately. 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. One of the things I've been doing here for, I think, 10 plus years, at least we started a couple years into it doing this, is putting my money where my mouth is. A lot of agents talk about all this stuff. They're number one, they're the best, but here's what they don't do. They don't outspend the average agent 100 to 1 like we do. My business model that we created, that team hybrid brokerage model we have, allows us to spend tremendous amounts of money to invest on our clients' behalf up front. And it allows us to have a much bigger reach. And so what does that mean? Well, if you go to any other agent, they're going to start marketing for your property when they put the sign in the yard. With us, I'm spending tens and tens of thousands of dollars a month, every month, driving traffic online and capturing buyers from all across the globe. And what we do is we match up buyers and sellers. Well, why is that? Well, that's what I'm in business to do, right? I'm in business to make money. And my main way to make money is matching up buyers and sellers, not just taking a halfway approach and putting it to the MLS and hoping someone sells it. That's what most agents do, because they're just trying to get half the commission, move on, and be happy with it. With us, we like excellence, and our team model allows us to, worst case scenario, we'll sell those buyers something else in the MLS from somewhere else. Best case scenario, we sell them your property in our company and get both sides of commission, which is what we're designed to do from a business model standpoint. And so here's the deal. Right now, active home buyers on our site that are searching with a username, password, account from all over, 71,076 active home buyers, 71,076 active home buyers. And that's with a username, password, account. So here's the deal. If I was a single agent spending tens of thousands of dollars every month, there's no possible way I could follow up with 71,076 people. But with a team of 35 people like we have now, guess what we can do? Follow up with all of them daily and give them a high level of service. And so that allows us to have a much bigger funnel that we're able to funnel more buyers to your property and get those properties sold. Now, if you're a home buyer, guess what? We have a team of experts who's very good at what they do, who's able to make sure they give you the highest level of service. So right now on the site, I got Michael from Whitehall, PA. I got Julie from Chicago, Illinois. I got, here we go, Ottawa, Ontario, international buyer right there. I got Dawn from San Diego, California. Sandy from Greene, New York. Greene, New York, not sure where that's at. I got Larry from Conway, South Carolina. I got Mark from Mountain View, California. Mount Olive, North Carolina. Myrtle's Inlet, South Carolina. Sparta, New Jersey. Hilton Head, South Carolina. Charlotte, North Carolina. Myrtle's Inlet, Seaford, New York, St. Cloud, Minnesota. So the reality is we have buyers from all over. And so my global reach allows us to get more exposure for your house, which is how we sell properties faster and for more money. If you want to know more how it works, reach out to me. But here's why I share that. Anyone you know that's thinking about selling, buying, whatever it is, you got to call my buddy Blake, because our business model is unmatched. Our service is unmatched. Our tenacity is unmatched. I'm sure you can probably hear the energy, right? We do everything fast here. We don't apologize for that because that's just who we are in our DNA. And so really quick, couple quick success stories I'm super proud of. This is one that I see happen a lot outside of us, and really, like, the market's so hot, no one should ever go into any type of foreclosure, right? Because you can sell for more than you bought it for in most cases. What I find is a lot of people tend to put their head in the sand, and that's the only reason you really see anybody go to foreclosure now, because they put their head in the sand and they ignore it. And here's a crazy cool story we're very proud of. Danny, he's a past client, bought a house with us 4 years ago. Unfortunately, COVID brought hard times, and he was in a place where he's facing foreclosure. We did not know about that, right? The property had been the foreclosure had been filed against him, been through the process, and the auction date was scheduled. Thankfully, I had the courage to call us at our office, tell us what was going on. We stepped into action to save his house and his home equity. We showed him get $100,000 more than he paid for the property instead of letting it go back to the bank and get foreclosed on. We designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough, and basically shared our pool of thousands of buyers. We're able to get under contract for top dollar. Sold it and closed before auction for $100,000 more than he paid for it 4 years prior, and put the extra $100,000 in his pocket, which is awesome. He bought the property for $179,900. We sold it for $280,000 within a couple of weeks. And so that's the example. He reached out to me. Last one here, Pat owned a house in Conway, decided to make a decision to sell his property so he can fulfill his lifelong dream of traveling across the U.S. in an RV. Unfortunately, he hired an average realtor, and 6 months later didn't have one single offer, no results. The old agent put it to MLS, let it sit there. He was very frustrated. Basically, thankfully, our amazing radio listener referred him to us. We came in, identified the problem, marketing, launched a global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough, had a fantastic offer, almost full asking price. Within a couple of weeks, got him under contract and living his dreams across the country in his RV and put maximum equity in his pocket. If you want to be one of those success stories, reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com anytime.
I had a few extra seconds here at the end, so I went in.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure what you had on time. That's fine.
No, we're good.
Thank you.